What is up, everyone? This is Donnie, aka Elevated, with another video here on behalf of Dota Alchemy, and we have yet another patch. We are at 7.22H, which is a pretty unbelievable sub patch to be at. I don't think I've ever seen a H patch before in the history of Dota. I could be wrong, but I certainly don't remember one. And that just right off the bat says to me that Ice Frog wants the first major to be played on this patch. And with good reason, because I think that he's kind of been tweaking the game quite a bit over the last, I guess, like 7 patches or so to make it go in a certain direction. And that direction seems to be favoring fighting over farming more than perhaps at any other time in the game's history. And so let's just take a quick look at the changes. There aren't very many. This video is going to be pretty short, but I'll just give you my thoughts. First of all, we have general changes. Basic neutrals now give 5% less EXP. And if you remember from last patch, basic neutrals now give 5% less bounty. So basically just a 5% less value on the neutrals from 2 patches ago, which again just kind of shows that, hey, get out of the jungle, go fight people, farm lane creeps, don't farm jungle camps as much, and heroes that accelerate from the jungle are certainly somewhat less valuable as well. So, you know, the Terrorblades, the Alchemists, the Anti-Mages, the Wraith Kings, that kind of stuff are definitely starting to trend out, and we've started to see that in the pro scene as well, where teams are really punishing those slower paced heroes by just running you over in 20 minutes and snowballing super hard. Item changes, we have Phase Boots armor reduced from 5 to 4. This item has essentially become the only boot that melee carries go, just because the armor and damage and the move speed and everything was so good. I think we may be starting to approach that point at which Treads becomes pretty significant in terms of its value, just because this used to be, what, 6 armor, I think? Maybe it was even higher several patches ago. I don't quite remember, but we can see that G was changed from 6 to 5, and now it's from 5 to 4. So Phase Boost just getting worse over the course of time. Medallion Courage also has gotten worse over the last few patches. This item is extremely valuable because it gives a huge amount of armor, good mana regeneration, and has both defensive and offensive capabilities in fights. So this is a basically every game item, or it has been, and is getting a subsequent nerf. Solar Crest, same kind of treatment. This was probably the best item in the game up until maybe patch G, where they took the recipe up and reduced the armor by 2, and now they're reducing the armor by 2 again. So, I mean, this item is still so good because it gives you movement speed, stats, armor, mana regeneration, offensive, defensive capabilities. So good. Solar Crest is incredible. However, they need to continue to nerf it because it was basically, people were picking this over pretty much any other supporting item, and every single offlaner was buying this over Crimsons and Pipes and stuff like that just because it was too good. So not surprised to see that nerfed as well. This is a pretty big one. Ring of Protection no longer available in the side shop, so you can't just start with a Sobi mask and a bunch of regen, come and buy your Basilius right off the bat. You have to make the choice between buying a Basilius plus 1 Tango and not having very much HP regen in lane, or, you know, eventually ferrying out the full Basilius later on. I think we'll probably still see quite a few 4s just go that Basilius plus 1 Tango route and then either suicide to a tower, or, you know, fight until they die and then come back to lane with more regen. So I don't think it'll actually change too much, but it is something to note because I'm sure there will be plenty of people who will show up to lane with just a Sobi mask expecting to be able to finish it and be like, wait, what? So just pay attention to that. On to the hero changes. And we see that there are 5 heroes that got nerfed. Some slight tweaks, some more major tweaks as well. Real quick, if we switch over to the most recent professional tournament, obviously this is not a tier 1 tournament, but there were definitely some pretty good teams. The Dota was pretty high level, and you can see that the top 4 heroes that were banned and valued highly by pros are Mirana, Kunkka, Tiny, Nightstalker. And if we swap back over to Dota, we see Mirana, Nightstalker, Tiny, Kunkka, and then Wind Ranger just kind of thrown there because, you know, middle finger to the ginger, I suppose. But yeah, so obviously these heroes deserve nerfs. They were getting banned every game because they were seen as too strong, so not surprising that IceFrog nerfed them. Kunkka Ghost Ship cooldown has been increased by 10 seconds at each level. X marks the spot cooldown has been increased by a few seconds as it scales. So initially 8 seconds, then 6 seconds, then 4 seconds, then 2 seconds. So pretty significant actually in terms of the cooldown. This hero was being played a lot in the off lane especially, and I think that probably we will continue to see that, but generally speaking, when heroes are nerfed that are very popular, people tend to look elsewhere because usually if a hero gets nerfed 1 or 2 patches in a row, there probably is something on the rise that's at least as good and may be able to take its spot. That being said, Kunkka does fit the current meta of being very fight heavy, so I wouldn't be surprised to continue to see this hero, and frankly, for that matter, I wouldn't be surprised to see all these heroes continue to get played just because they fit the meta quite well as it currently stands. Mirana leap attack speed has been reduced. This is quite a huge nerf actually, because you go from 60 attack speed at level 1 on leap to 25. So basically like a third the value that you were getting before. And then even at level 2, you still don't have quite the same attack speed as you had at level 1. So Mirana will definitely be a lot less dangerous in the early levels of the laning stage. We were always seeing these position 4 Miranas just diving towers at like level 2, level 3, getting kills with their ridiculous attack speed. And that is definitely going to be significantly nerfed as well. The Sacred Arrow projectile speed has been reduced a little bit, so you have a bit more time to maybe jump in front of a catapult if you want to save it, or just avoid the arrow if it would otherwise set you up for death. Nightstalker, Hunter in the Night. Of course, this hero has been cried about by a lot of people for pretty much ever since it started getting picked up. Hunter in the Night attack speed has been reduced by 10 at each level. It's not a huge difference. You might feel it a little bit, but not a really big nerf at all. Crippling Fear duration has also been reduced by 1 second each level. This feels like it goes on forever, so maybe it won't feel quite as bad. 4 second silence for 1 point is still pretty ridiculous, considering how easy it is to stick on top of a target. These are slightly bigger, but again, I don't really think that any of these changes is going to take Nightstalker out of the meta that much. Level 20 talent loses 10 damage. Hunter in the Night attack speed at level 25 loses 30 attack speed. Again, probably not really going to feel these changes. The thing about this hero is that people are starting to punish it by just running it over. We're seeing a lot of like Lycans being picked. People are just fighting super early, fighting constantly, and Nightstalker obviously can only fight when Dark Ascension is up for the most part. So I think that this hero is already sort of trending out, even though it has a very high win rate, but at least at the pro level, people are punishing it when it's getting picked because this laning stage is just complete ass. And I think that that'll eventually trickle down into pubs as well. Tiny avalanche damage has been increased, actually. So this hero gets a tiny little bit of a buff to one of his abilities and a nerf to the other one. Toss cooldown has been increased to 17 seconds at level 1, scaling back to 11. So early game, roaming for Tiny, somewhat nerfed. Other than that, hero is essentially the same. Wind Ranger, not sure why this hero is getting a nerf. I haven't really been seeing it picked a ton. It's getting some play, but 1 less mana regeneration at level 10 talent. And that is it. So like I said before, the meta is really, really trending towards fighting a lot. We're seeing a ton of early game items being picked up. We're seeing a lot of these early game fighting heroes that sustain very well, can constantly fight. And that's really where the meta seems to be trending, especially with these nerfs to the neutrals. Less jungle farm for everybody means more farm to be had by fighting each other over the lane creeps and over the towers and objectives. So with that being said, enjoy your games in 7.22H. We will have to see how some of this stuff affects the starting builds, and we'll eventually update our hero guides as we figure that out as well. Good luck, and we will see you in another video very soon.